Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Celestial Tree. I'm an astrologer, intuitive reader, and soul psychologist as well. And today we're going to be chatting about our I was going to say full moon. It's our first new moon of the year, the new moon in Aquarius. This new moon is happening on the 29th of Jan at around 9 degrees of Aquarius. So be sure to check your charts for any planets and any points at around 9 degrees of fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, because that might be where you feel the effects of the new moon the most. Before I get started, here is a gentle reminder. If you would like a reading from me, you can book with me on my website at celestialhealingrealm.com. And remember to subscribe to my brand new YouTube channel for more horoscopes and astrology updates. And I just want to say thank you so much for all your support with this channel. I'm really enjoying my time here so far. So this new moon is a new beginning, as most new moons are. Aquarius is the sign of the people. It's quite a rebellious sign as well. So I do expect there to be a lot of talk around how people are going to kind of group together and get organized this year in some way. Potentially online, because Aquarius is also the sign of the internet. This new moon also comes at a time where Mars is still retrograde in Cancer. So we are still reviewing how our comfort is going to change in the upcoming year. I know many of you might have heard about the brief TikTok ban in the US and how different the online space will look as a result of some of the changes brought in by the new president over there. The new moon also comes at a time where we do have Mercury, the planet of communication, conjunct Pluto, which is Pluto is quite an intense energy, so it does feel like there might be some kind of intense and important conversations happening around the end of Jan. The thing with Pluto is that there could be some power plays or tricky power dynamics to kind of navigate around the time of the new moon. But I feel like the conversations that we are going to be having around the 29th of Jan, as uncomfortable and as intense as they might be, they are necessary discussions. Here in the UK, there's been a lot of conversations around things like women and girls, which have been quite intense. We can see these conversations kind of reflected in the energy of Mars retrograde in the sign of Cancer, which rules over women in general. I would say that the discussions we're having, I don't know if they're from the right angle, but I do feel like these discussions and these sorts of energies will continue, and I do feel like the online space is actually going to get a lot more intense over the next few months as well. I think as people sort of grapple with the new leadership, and get to grips with some of the ways that the online space is changing, and how the online landscape kind of looks and how it works and who it works for, that's going to be some of the conversations that we are probably going to enter into around the new moon in Aquarius. What I will say is that if you are setting intentions around this new moon, be sure to make sure that they're community focused, and kind of outside of the box, not necessarily rebellious, but try and when you're setting intentions, try and think differently to how you would normally think. And I do feel like it is important to remind ourselves that we are stronger together, rather than when we're divided. So with that in mind, I am going to give you guys your new moon horoscopes now, and please do remember to listen to both your sun sign and your rising sign as well. Aries suns and Aries risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 11th house of friends, groups and long-term plans. It is a new beginning for you in these areas. You could be lending your support to a new group, or you could be lending your support to a friend in need around this time. This is also really a good time to set intentions in the areas of friendship and community. Like, you might be thinking about what type of friends you want to make this year, who do you want to surround yourself with, what type of energy do they carry. You could even end up meeting a new friend or making a new friend around the time of this new moon as well. What I will say is that this new moon is happening at a time where Mercury, planet of communication, is conjunct Pluto, which is a planet that is known for its intensity. So this might mean that if you're joining a new group or lending your support to a friend, what that friend is going through might be quite intense, and there might be some like intense feelings that you'll have to do your best to navigate. And it could bring up a lot of like tricky feelings, if that makes sense. So please do look after yourself around the 29th of Jan and make sure that your cup is full, and make sure you're feeling recharged and replenished so that you can readily pour into others, and offer your support. And I want to remind you that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So yeah, just make sure that you're doing okay first. This is also a time where you might set intentions for your long-term plans and your goals for the future. It is very possible that these new plans that you're formulating will have like kind of like an Aquarian humanitarian tint to it. Yeah, Aquarius is also the sign of the rebel as well. So if you are formulating new plans for your future, try not to worry if those plans are unfamiliar to you or outside of the box. Lean into your inner rebel, and try and dream bigger than what you normally would, and you'll be surprised how quickly the universe matches your energy and kind of provides you with everything that you need to achieve these goals. Taurians, Taurus suns and Taurus risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 10th house of career, status and public reputation. I do feel like this is quite a welcome energy for you, Taurians. I know some of you guys have been considering your life path and your career for a while now, and you have been reflecting on it quite deeply. This does feel like a time where you're setting new intentions career-wise, and you might be formulating new plans to like get a job, and there could also be like a job opportunity on the way around this new moon in Aquarius. This job opportunity might be a little bit outside of the box, a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but I do feel like it will be really good for you to try something new or go in a different direction to what you're used to. This could also be a time where you receive a promotion or a raise at work for all the hard work that you put in, basically. You might be given like extra responsibilities, which might feel a little bit overwhelming at first, but you have to try and remind yourself that you're much more capable than you give yourself credit for. Is what I'm thinking. What I will say is that Pluto is very close to this new moon, and Pluto does have a reputation for being quite an intense energy and having a very intense presence. So if you do find yourself feeling a little bit stressed out with work related matters, or you're faced with some like intense feelings, I would encourage you to take a step back and slow down and kind of remind yourself to focus on one thing at a time. I always try and remind all my like Taurus clients that they are much more than their productivity. So do keep that in mind around the new moon in Aquarius. Gemini suns and my fellow Gemini risings, I hope we're well. This new moon in Aquarius will fall in your 9th house of overseas travel, higher learning and beliefs. This does kind of feel like a healing new moon for you Geminis. It does feel like a new beginning in the area of how you perceive the world, especially since this new moon is trying the expansive Jupiter in your sign. It does feel like a time where you might begin a new learning cycle. It doesn't have to be structured learning either. It can just be something you decide to begin learning in your own time. And with Jupiter here, it might be you might be learning something spiritual or holistic in nature. You could you could stumble upon a good book around the time of this new moon, something that will keep you engaged and help you broaden your horizons over the next 6 months. This is also a time where you could set intentions to travel this year. You might even end up booking a holiday if you haven't done so already. This does feel like a time where you're kind of asking yourself, how can I change my perception of myself and the world around me? What type of adventures do I want to have, or what type of people do I want to meet that will enrich my life and give me new experiences? It is a really important new moon for you, Geminis. There's a lot of questions that you might be asking yourself. If you do feel like overwhelmed, or you do feel unsure about which direction to take, try and take a step back and focus on one thing at a time. I like to kind of remind myself that there is plenty of time for all the experiences that you want to bring in this year. And I feel like slowing down will allow you to get clear about how you want your life to look going forward. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. This new moon in Aquarius will fall in your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources, and psychological transformations. This new moon does feel like a new beginning for you psychologically, Cancers. This new moon is in a trine to the expansive Jupiter over in your 12th house of mental health, which Jupiter has been in that area of your chart for about nearly 8 months, I feel like. So there's already been a lot of healing work that you've been prioritizing during this time. It does feel like a fresh start psychologically. I feel like you have been working hard to try and remove some of the things that have been like weighing you down mentally, and this does feel like a fresh new beginning. This is also a time where you might feel a very intense need to transform yourself in some way. Mercury and Pluto are conjunct in this same area of your chart. So there might be this really strong internal need for you to transform a part of you or transform a part of your life in some way. And you could be having some discussions about that with your loved ones. Some of the things that you might be processing and discussing might feel heavy at times. But lean on the right people and ask for support if you feel like you need it. This could also be a time where you set some new intentions when it comes to your shared resources and your shared ventures. So you might be discussing some new collaboration opportunities and setting intentions on projects that are mutually beneficial to both you and your collaborators as well. This is quite an important new moon for you, Cancers, and I do feel like it's important to make sure that you have a good supportive network. You have supportive people around you to help you navigate some of the feelings that might come up around the time of this new moon. Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and contracts. It is the house that rules your one-to-one connection. So this new moon will definitely highlight romantic and business connections, and it could even bring about new connections as well. This new moon is in a harmonious aspect to Jupiter over in your 11th house of friends. So you might meet a new business or romantic connection through a friend around this time. It's very likely and very exciting. If you're already in a romantic partnership, this could be a time where you seek to almost strengthen and improve your relationship in some way. You might sit down with a partner and discuss how you plan to spend more time together this year. I should mention though that Mercury, the planet of communication, and Pluto are lined up together in the sign of Aquarius at the time of this new moon. Mercury lining up with Pluto is quite an intense energy. So the new moon might bring some really important and really sobering discussions around your one-to-one partnerships that might feel a little bit uncomfortable at times. But the seventh house is all about like compromise and negotiations and finding middle ground. So if you do end up having some intense conversations and intense discussions, try to take the angle of peace and stay open-minded as well. Sometimes in order to move forward, we need to make sure that we are on the same page with our loved ones. So it's best not to avoid these interactions, even if they are uncomfortable. You do kind of have to get through the tough, murky bit in order to return to like the green grass and the blue skies, if that makes sense. So do your best around this new moon and take into account your needs and also the needs of your loved ones as well. Virgo suns and Virgo risings. This new moon in Aquarius will fall in your 6th house of work, physical health and day-to-day routines. I think the focus for you Virgos around this new moon will definitely be around your health and well-being. There might be some new like health regimen or diet that you feel like trying. There might be something like holistic that catches your attention, something that kind of like deepens the mind-body connection. And you're kind of like, I really want to incorporate this into my like day-to-day routines. This is also a time where you could begin a new work cycle, like maybe you're getting a new job or maybe you're starting a work-related project. You could even change work environments as well. You might have to, well, you don't have to, but you might have a conversation with like a manager at work and kind of discuss how you can achieve a better work-life balance. And maybe work at the office more or maybe work at home more. Pluto is in the equation around this new moon, so this new moon is not without its intensity. There could be some conversations at work or some drama with colleagues that does feel a little bit like uncomfortable at times. But what I would say is try and focus on yourself around this new moon. Try to kind of leave the drama where it is and prioritize your well-being. I feel like that's a better use of the energy, I think. Speaking of colleagues though, this is also a time where you could welcome in a new colleague at work that actually might be the source of some of the drama that is occurring at work. Aquarius is quite an analytical sign, so whether you're focusing on work, on like a new work project, or if you're focusing more on your health and taking care of your body, make sure the changes that you're making are positive and like well thought out and analyzed. I know you do that anyway, but it doesn't hurt to remind you. And making sure that they're like really well thought out is gonna help you stick to these changes and these developments in the long term. Libra suns and Libra risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 5th house of romance, fun, pleasure, dating, creativity, and children. This is actually the time to kind of let your hair down, Libras. I know you guys have been working really hard recently, so try to kind of use this new moon as an opportunity to prioritize joy and prioritize fun. Because this new moon is in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules over friends and groups, seeing your friends or hanging out with your own personal friendship group will be like a really good way of working with the energy of this new moon. This is also a really good time to lean into your hobbies and creativity and potentially begin a new creative project. So that's really exciting if you do end up doing that. This the fifth house also rules over romance. So if you do have a special someone, or if you're seeing someone around this time, then the new moon is a really good time to like schedule a date or spend some time together. I do have to flag though that Mercury and Pluto are conjunct in this area of your chart, and Pluto is known for being quite an intense energy. So if you do find yourself in any sort of intense discussions with loved ones around this time, try to lean into that energy at first and then get back to prioritizing the pleasure and the fun. The fifth house also rules over children as well. So if you do have children, then they might require your presence or your advice around this time as well. If your children are asking you for support, then lean into that as well. I think sometimes we forget how joyful speaking to and supporting children can be, and it can be a really healing experience, not just for the children but for you as well, Librans. So enjoy the new moon as much as you can and try to go with the flow as much as possible. Scorpio suns and Scorpio rising. This new moon in Aquarius will fall in your fourth house of home, family, the past, and your personal life. This is a new beginning for you, Scorpios. This might be a time where you're making improvements to your home or your living space, or even setting some intentions to move home as well. With Jupiter over in your 8th house of the psyche, positively interacting with this new moon, it does feel like you might be called to make some improvements in your living space for the sake of your mental health and your mental well-being as well. So you might be reorganizing your living space to make it more sanctuary-like. You might be decluttering, you might be renovating, you might be decorating, all the things that, you know, might bring you an air of like wellness, and bring like, you know, a positive vibe in your living space. And I feel like it is the perfect time to kind of sit down and do these things as well. What I will say is that we do have a Mercury-Pluto conjunction. Mercury is the planet of communication, and Pluto is known for its intense energy. So you might be having some really intense communication with your family and with your loved ones. They might be dealing with something or going through something, and they might call on you for support around this time. You might feel like you want to spend more time at home or more time like with them to help them get through their issues, but don't neglect yourself and your personal life if you are called to support your family in some way. I always say on this channel and just in life that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Try and make sure that your personal life and your needs and your home are taken care of before you kind of like offer up your support. I think making sure that you're replenished and have the capacity for these conversations that you might enter into with your loved ones is going to be really, really important. So when you've taken care of what you need to take care of, it will be a lot easier to help them navigate their issues. Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 3rd house of communication, learning, local travel, and community. This does feel like quite a busy new moon for you, Sagittarians. You might be making a lot of small trips, sending a lot of emails, and just engaging in a lot of communication in general. Just know that you will not be bored around this new moon. There will be like a lot of errands to run, and maybe some like everyday, like mundane things that you might have to take care of. Jupiter is over in your seventh house of relationships, and it is also present, making a harmonious aspect to this new moon. So some of these tasks that you're doing, or some of the errands that you're running, might be done alongside a partner if you have one. This might be a time where you begin a new learning cycle as well. Not necessarily structured learning, but you might set the intention to begin learning something new, something new in your own time, at your own pace. This house also does rule over siblings as well. So if you do have siblings, you might be spending more time with them or helping them out in some way. They might need your support around this time for something that they're going through, and it might be a little bit tricky to kind of find the time for your sibling amongst all the busyness. But I do feel like if you get a chance to sit down and catch up with them, it will probably be a very it will probably be a very pleasant experience. Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings. This new moon will occur in your second house of income, self-worth and talents. This might be a time where you feel a very strong calling to increase your income in some way. This new moon could bring an opportunity your way, whether that be earning money through a new job or earning money through a new project that you're invited to work on. This new moon is trying Jupiter in your sixth house of work, so it does feel like a new moon where you're expanding your personal income in some way, likely through something work related. There could be a promotion or a raise. Something about how you earn money is changing around this time, Capricorns, which I feel like will be welcomed, I think. This is a really good time for you to sit down and plan your budget for the year, and set some new financial intentions. You might incorporate this new income into your budget as well. This is also a time where you might get like a little bit of a self-esteem boost in some way. I feel like something could happen around the time of this new moon that increases your confidence and kind of allows you to see yourself in a more positive light. There is a chance that some intensity could arise, since Mercury is the planet of communication, and Pluto are together in Aquarius during this full moon. So there could be some intense conversations that you're having around your finances and around money in general. So I wanted to kind of make you aware of that as well. If you do find yourself in a situation where you are making plans for the future and having some important discussions around money, just remember that even though it might feel like uncomfortable at times, these discussions are necessary and important. So try your best to go with the flow around this new moon. Aquarians, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. This is your new moon. It is happening in your first house of self, identity, physical body, and your life path as well. This is a time where you might set some new intentions for yourself in the areas of your life path. You might be formulating like new plans for the year and really trying to figure out which direction your life will take you in 2025. There have already been quite exciting developments in your life, Aquarians, I feel like. But this new moon is an opportunity for you to really start fresh and get optimistic about the opportunities that are going to be heading your way this year. This is also a time where you could set intentions to get a new look. You might find yourself like scrolling on Pinterest and looking at hairstyles and outfits and kind of like trying to refresh your energy and upgrade your style in some way. The way you present to the world is going to be it's really going to be in focus around this new moon, which is, I feel like, is quite an exciting thing. It does feel like both an internal and external overhaul for you Aquarians, and the fact that you're considering these things at the beginning of the year is a really good thing, I feel like. I would say it is your season as well. It is Aquarius season. So try something new around this new moon. It could be a new hair color. It could be a new aesthetic. Get creative with your external appearance. I know you already are, but it goes without saying. Lean into that sort of like rebellious, out of the box Aquarian energy. And don't be too concerned with how others might perceive you and might perceive the changes that you feel like making. It is your life and it should be lived how you want it to be lived, and it should not be dictated by others. That also goes for your life path as well. It's easier to sometimes take the path of least resistance, but I feel like there's more growth and evolution and fulfillment when we carve our own path. So try to remember that when you're setting intentions for this new moon in Aquarius. Pisceans, my fellow Pisces suns and Pisces risings. This new moon in Aquarius will happen in your 12th house of spirituality, mental health, and what is hidden. This is a time where you could set some new intentions in the areas of mental health. You might be thinking of some of the feels that you've been feeling over the past few weeks and kind of leaning into the analytical side of Aquarius to kind of analyze what has been working for you and your mental health and what hasn't worked. There might have been like activities or practices and even people who you maybe have realized are not beneficial to your mental state and its health. This new moon is an opportunity for you to start to implement the practices and activities that do help you, and you might be thinking quite deeply about how to weave those things into your day-to-day. This is also a time where you might be considering exploring a new area of spirituality. You might feel like you want to kind of like retreat from the world in a way and set some intentions to connect deeper to a specific healing practice or a spiritual practice. It does feel like there is some intensity around this new moon with Pluto in the picture. So it does look like you might kind of hide away from the intensity a little bit to rest and replenish yourself. Pisces are especially sensitive to the energies of others and the energies of the collective as well, and there's been a lot going on recently in so many different parts of the world. So it's important to remind yourself that taking a moment to rest and recuperate is not necessarily selfish. It's actually necessary for your well-being, and you can't help others until you yourself have the capacity to do so. So please do take some time for yourself and try and get some rest, so that when Pisces season rolls around, you are full of energy and ready to re-engage with the world. So that is all for today, guys. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my brand new YouTube channel for more horoscopes and astrology updates, and also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. They are both linked in the description box below, and leave a comment below with your thoughts about this new moon in Aquarius. Happy healing, everyone.